Is World of Tanks Blitz pay to win? Well, yes and no. And in today's video, I'll be explaining everything about the game and my feelings on whether it's pay to win. Now, the first question, is it pay to win? Yes, but not necessarily. We have many vehicles which could be considered overpowered, which are premiums or collectors. The Smasher, the Annihilator, the Forest Witch, Dracula are just a few examples of vehicles that completely dominate the Tier 7 matchmaker. So you would assume that if these vehicles have the, most overpowered capabilities, then they would be sitting at the top of the top performing vehicles. But actually that's not the case. The number one performing is the Forest Witch, but after that, it's the T28 concept, Pharaoh, the Predator, AT-15A, CF-52, T-29, which is a tech tree, the AT-7, which is a tech tree. These are all top 20 tanks, even the LTG. What's funny is that the Smasher is all the way down here, and the Annihilator is even further down. And this is literally just top 20 tanks by relative win rate. Even if we look at 55 to 65% players, we can still see the Smasher is beaten out by the T29, Tiger, and AT7, even the Black Prince. So there are more tech tree vehicles in the top 5 than there are premiums. And the point being that, yes, there are vehicles which I would consider overpowered. But that does not necessarily mean that the game is only filled with overpowered vehicles. I think that the T29 is just as strong as a Smasher, judging that it has gun depression, it has mobility, great penetration, and a turret that you cannot penetrate really at all. There are a lot of tech tree vehicles which are just as capable, and that is the same for Tier 8 as well. Yes, there are a lot of super strong Tier 8 premiums, like the KV5 is the number one, 252, K2, but you also have vehicles like the Emil 1, which is an incredibly strong vehicle. The Elephant, which was given away for free, is another incredibly strong vehicle, and we can also see the 53 TP, which is a fantastic Tier 8 tech tree heavy. If we look at 55 to 65% players, we can see the Emil 1 is actually the number one performer, and the 53 TP is the number 4 performer. So out of the 5 slots, 2 of them are taken up by tech tree tanks. Now, yes, the T54E2 is in there, but guess what? The K2 was another free vehicle that Wargaming gave away. So does that mean the game is pay to win? If you ask me, no. The game is not pay to win. Most people that are playing tech tree tanks are doing just as good, if not better, than people that are playing in premiums. And if we take a look at Tier 10, this is more evident than ever. Tier 10 is obviously the most important tier in the game. And what are the number one performing vehicles by relative win rate? The Mouse, Minnow, Contracaro, we have the WZ-113 GFT, and then we have the V4. So out of the 5 top performers, one of them is a collector. The other 5 are all tech trees, finishing off with the Type 71. And if we look at highest, performing vehicles with 65 percenters and 55 percenters, it is the Minnow, WZ-113, the IS-7, Mouse, and then the V4 again. So yes, there are vehicles like the Super Conk that are close, but as we can see in every single ranking here today, whether it's by average players or 55 to 65% players, tech tree tanks make their way into the list. So that already basically debunks the statement that this game is purely pay to win, because it's not. Yes, there are tech tree tanks which could be considered overpowered, but you're singling out also only premiums that are considered overpowered. How many premiums are in Tier 8, and how many of them are only considered overpowered by people's minds, right? We have the Yag Tiger 8.8, we have the SU-130 PM, Turtle Mark 1. I don't see people saying the Turtle is a pay-to-win vehicle. So when people say that the game is pay-to-win, that's very subjective, because there's only a few premiums that you can actually name, even in Tier 7, that you would consider OP. Do you consider the Skoda T45 overpowered? The Vulcan, the Titan HND, the Lightbringer, or the Gravedigger, the E10? No. You're only considering vehicles like the Smasher or the Annihilator, the best of the best in the entire tier. And if I were to do that comparing the T29, then that's unfair, because you're comparing all of the tech tree tanks to just 2 select collectors. So no, the game is not pay to win. Yes, you can buy vehicles which will give you an advantage over other tech trees and most of the other premiums, but it doesn't mean that you can't do just as well in a tech tree tank. And then we arrive to the second argument, which is skill. If we take a look at my top performing vehicles on this account, we take a look at my highest damage output tanks, right? The Object 140 is one of my highest. We got a lot of tech trees here. If we take a look, we can see that there's a lot of tech trees mixed in with a lot of collectors. And it's a good example of that, yes. Obviously, I can do well in a collector, like the Badger I have 3,500 average damage in. But then you take a look at another tier 10 I have, like the 268, and I also have 3,500 damage for 25 games with a similar win rate. So, the only reason I'm really trying to make this video is to point out there's a lot of people that think that the only way to do well in this game is to spend money. But that is entirely incorrect. Wargaming has had multiple free events, which have given you, the player, the opportunity to get free vehicles. Just right now, we have the Mystery Hack Draw, which allows you to get 20 mystery boxes for free, which means that you have a pretty high chance of getting a mystery certificate and a free tank. Not only that, but Wargaming has given away the K2 for free, the Elephant for free, and just a boatload of other premiums. There was an event in the game just a couple weeks ago where you could earn a Skoda T56 for free, and possibly 2 other Tier 8 premiums or collectors. I mean, there are so many events that Wargaming has put into the game over the past, I would say, 3 months, that you've had the opportunity to get at least 5 to 10 premiums, guaranteed for free. And because of that, there's really no argument to say the game is pay to win. Yes, certain collectors and premiums are better than tech trees. I think that the Bashation Barask is an overpowered vehicle, which can do a better job than most of the mediums in the game. I do think that this is an entirely overpowered tank. And I also think that the T77 is one of the most overpowered tech tree, or not tech tree, most overpowered collectors as well. The C77 is absolutely busted, dealing 380 damage in 2.5 seconds with 2 shells. It's insane. But it's not to say that there aren't tech trees that can do just as well. The Emil 1, as I mentioned, as an autoloader, can deal 960 damage in 6 seconds. And not only that, has 10 degrees of gun depression and way better armor on the turret than the T77. Also featuring reticle calibration and super speed boost if you really want to use them. And for vehicles like the Bashation Barask, we now have the Arak 105 Proto, which is literally just a Barask. It deals 600 damage in a matter of 2.5 seconds. Has great penetration, even more than the Barask. Has good mobility, and 8 degrees of gun depression, which even the Barask doesn't have. So there are many different tanks with many different capabilities, and sitting there and saying one is simply better than the other is just not a viable argument. And I always try to be the voice of reason for people. Yeah, it's hard to change people's opinions, and there's still going to be people that come into the comments and say, oh, well, the game's pay to win because of this or that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many premiums you as the viewer buy. The chance of you going 75% win rate on any account is very low unless you put in the effort to learn how to play. And before you make the argument, oh, this is a noob MM account, it's not. Press accounts don't get noob matchmaking. So the point being, skill is the most important thing in this game. If you're not a skilled player, it doesn't matter what you do because you're not going to do very well. At the end of the day, you know, you can drive a Smasher, but I can beat you in any Tier 7 if you don't know how to drive it. Tanks are only capable if you know what you're doing. And it's why I do think that the game has some pay-to-progress aspects, but I think pay-to-win is a little out of the question, especially with the amount of free vehicles Wargaming gives away. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Let me know if you agree, let me know if you disagree, and if you'd like to see more content like this, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!